Hello again, Chase the Traveler. Now, I've done about 80 episodes, actually maybe more. You just haven't seen all the ones that I've filmed. I've done a lot of consultations with people like you who really want to know what Japan is like. If everything people are talking about on YouTube, on TV, if it's really the way it is. I've helped quite a few of you. And again, I want to offer my services. I want to offer my knowledge, my know-how to you, the viewers out there. And till this day, all my consultations with individuals just as yourself have been well received. I've saved people money. They were about to pay way more than they needed to when it came to traveling. I told them where to go. I've saved people from purchasing houses that were worthless. I've even helped people when it comes to the types of business that they thought would work in Japan, but wouldn't. I've even helped people who have good business ideas, but didn't know where to take it and how to approach it. I've lived here for years, decades, so I know exactly what it's like, especially from a foreign perspective. So therefore, I know exactly what you're going to go through. I know exactly how you should approach the Japanese when it comes to something you really want to do, especially if you haven't lived here for very long. I mean, think about it. Maybe you've seen my video on Japan where I talked about the Japanese own 99% of the businesses over here. Foreigners do not, and there's a reason for that. So, when you're looking at Japan from overseas, you might think that, oh, well, Japan is a democracy. Japan is a wonderful place. Look at these buildings. I mean, oh my goodness. I mean, the ladies are wonderful. Japanese business is efficient. Yes, that's true. But does that mean that you can come over here without any guidance? You can come over here by just looking at stuff on TV or listening to people? No, it doesn't. You need to consult. You need to consult with somebody that knows what they're talking about, that's been through it, that's heard it, that's seen it. That's me, Chase the Traveler. Like I said, I don't have one person that's taken my consultation, my 30-minute consultation, my hour-long consultation, that hasn't been satisfied, that hasn't been helped. So I encourage you to reach out to me, especially if you're planning to come to Japan. If you want to know how to get good housing or where you should live so that you don't get harassed, there's a type of place you should rent. There's a type of place you shouldn't rent. There are certain areas where you could live without any problems. There are other areas where if you live there, you're not going to get any privacy. People are going to be all up in your business. Japan is extremely complicated. Extremely complicated. Big businesses have trouble dealing with Japan. Now imagine you, the individual, the small little guy like me. I mean, do you really think you're going to be coming over here and all of a sudden you're going to turn things upside down and you're going to have the success and you're going to live the way that you want to live? Come on. Before you do anything in Japan, consult with me, especially if you're overconfident and you think you have an idea that's going to work, run it by me. Let me know. I'll tell you. I'll even tell you if I don't know. I'll tell you if I've seen it. And if I haven't seen it, you need to be worried. And there are a lot of things that I just have not seen in Japan. The Japanese person that you see on TV smiling, when it comes down to living in Japan, that's not the Japanese person that you're going to get. I'm not saying that Japanese people are unfriendly. I'm just saying that when you live over here, you'll be shocked because certain things you expected aren't really what you were expecting. And let me tell you, Japanese news, or the way that Japanese people are, the way they live, the way they conduct themselves, most people outside of Japan do not understand Japanese people. They don't. They think they do, but they don't. That's why when I put out a video about Japan, people are kind of like, wow, they're shocked. People are surprised. So, if you have anything that you're concerned about, if you have anything that you need help with in Japan, talk to me. Remember Batman in the last episode? I know Batman. If you're having legal trouble, talk to me. I'm not a lawyer, but I know people who've had legal issues. I know people who've battled in the court system. I know what you should and shouldn't do. I know what your chances are. I know how Batman won his case. I'm very close to Batman. And if you want to know how he did it, I could tell you in detail. It might help you. But again, everybody's circumstances are different. But who else is going to tell you that? The Japanese lawyer is not going to tell you that. I can guarantee you right now, you talk to a Japanese lawyer, he's never going to tell, oh, well, you know something. I had a case with a foreigner and we battled a Japanese person just like myself and we won. That will almost never happen. You know something? No, let me rephrase that. That will never happen. So when you talk about Batman, he is a superhero. And honestly, I would listen to him over a lawyer. But again, I am not offering legal advice. I'm offering common sense advice that can be, I would say, used with an attorney's guidance if that's something that you're having trouble with. So most certainly, you can reach me at chasethetraveler@gmail.com. And like I said, a lot of people have a lot of issues or have a lot of questions and want to know what Japan is really like. And I'm the only guy, I believe, out there that tells it like it is. I really do. A lot of these people out there, I mean, you see some of these YouTubers, they're conducting interviews, and everything is very sanitized. I mean, I feel like yelling at the computer sometimes, like, hold on a second, what about this? What about that? So, most certainly, you're not getting the full picture most of the time. And that's why you definitely need to discuss with me. You definitely need to know what's feasible and what isn't feasible. You want to know, like I said, how to get an apartment. You want to know what you should do when you first get to Japan. You want to know what your rights are when you get a job. Again, I'm not an attorney, but I have common sense. I have common sense because I've done it. You want to know who you should trust in Japan or how to get the proper information. You want to know what your chances are in doing certain things before you go out there and waste your money. You want to know about visas. You want to know about relationships. You want to know what to expect. Because a lot of times when you come to Japan, there are a lot of things that you're just not expecting, but then just happen. Reach out to me. ChaseTheTraveler@gmail.com. One word, ChaseTheTraveler@gmail.com. Now, I know that this is like a long infomercial, of course. But hey, I still feel that the information is important, because if you're watching my channel, you're definitely watching because you are interested in Japan. You're watching because you've been thinking about it. You're watching because you've been seduced and you want to know if everything you've been listening, everything you've been hearing is realistic or not. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of things are, but a lot of things aren't. And I would say that for the most part, it could be about, based on people's expectation of Japan and what they really get out of Japan, it's probably, I'd say 50-50. The things that they see, the things that they hear, there's definitely an element of truth to it. Most certainly an element of truth to it. But there's also an element of sensationalism. There's also an element of, what's the word I'm looking for? Japan is like the kind of place that, the grass is always greener on the other side. And Japan is that greener side that once you get there, you're like, oh, hold on a second. I was probably better off on the other side, on my side. So, there are a lot of things that you should do in Japan that can help you. I believe that. There are a lot of things that you can learn from Japan. I also believe that. But I definitely think that before coming to Japan, you need guidance. And you need to be guided by somebody who knows what they're talking about. And I believe that I know what I'm talking about. And in most situations, getting the right guidance can definitely help you. And yeah, me, Chase the Traveler, I can definitely guide you in the right way. I can definitely point you in the right direction. I can definitely help your time in Japan go smoother, because everybody over here makes mistakes. Especially when you first get to Japan, you're going to make some mistakes. And you're going to make a lot of silly mistakes, whether it's the neighborhood that you're going to move into, whether it's the expectation of the type of jobs that you think you're going to be able to get, whether it's the amount of money that you are going to make, whether it's the relationships that you're going to have or the relationships that you're not going to have, the way you will be treated at work versus the expectations that you have, the types of job that seem glamorous versus the reality of the jobs that you're going to get, the treatment that you're going to receive in these jobs versus what you saw on YouTube versus what you saw on TV. The image of Japan versus the reality. Heck, after consulting with me, you might want to come here even faster. You might not even want to come at all. But I still think that consulting with someone like myself can definitely help you before you plunge in, before you jump in. You might waste a lot of money. You might be better off where you're at, but you don't know it yet. So it's very important that you understand what you want to do. Understand, if you do it, whether you're going to get the benefit that you really want. And like I said, right now, nobody has taken my consultation and been dissatisfied with it. Nobody. I can even give you references. So most certainly, I think you should consult with me, especially if you're going to come to Japan. Especially if you're going to change your whole life around and move over here. Don't just come over here because you watch some anime and all of a sudden Japan looked like an oasis. Don't come over here just because you saw some short clips on Shinjuku, Shibuya, Harajuku, Roppongi, or you saw some kind of technology in Japan, all of a sudden you're like, oh my goodness, I got to go to Japan. Don't do it. Consult with the person that knows the country, worked with the people, seen people come here and fail. I mean, success depends on how you measure success, but I've seen foreigners achieve a little success in Japan. Nothing big. You'll definitely see foreigners who have like a little store here, a little store there. That's about it. And Japan has a lot to do with your personality. There's a certain type of personality that will do okay here. There's another type of personality that will not do okay here. But anyway, Chase the Traveler, coming to you from Japan. Like I said, book a consultation with me. Send me an email at chasethetraveler@gmail.com. My information is below. Talk to me. I'm going to tell it to you straight. Talk to me. I'm not going to deceive you about what the reality is over here. If it's good, I'll tell you. If it's bad, I'll tell you. If it's impossible, I'll tell you. Anyway, reach out. ChaseTheTraveler@gmail.com.